Food is crazy expensive, and it only seems to be getting pricier with each passing year. What I want to do is see if I can make my family a fancy fine dining meal for under 25 bucks total. Whenever I think of serving up any dinner, I always go back to those basic principles of protein, starch, and veg, and I'm going to stick with that for this as well. Let's also set some ingredient precedences. If it's a basic household item that most folks have in their cupboard, then it's fair game. I always have things like onion, milk, eggs, oil. I always have parsley for some reason, a lot of parsley, even breadcrumbs. If it's in my cupboard, it is fair game. Unless, of course, it's a specialty ingredient that you actually have to go and hunt down and look for at a grocery store, I am using it. Sound good? Let's go shopping. So my mind is obviously running in a million different directions. I just have to get in there and see what they have to offer. You know, I think of chicken, I think of pasta, a great way to feed a decent amount of folks. And there's always a lot of ways to make pasta really, really elegant. Think of all those Italian restaurants you've been to, right? Vegetables can be decently cheap, but we're just pulling up now, so let's see what they have. First thing I'm going to do is head over to the protein counter. That's going to set the bar for everything because that's going to be the most expensive thing I'm going to purchase, and from there I'll work my way down. So let's see what they have. All right, so I'm for sure going to do pasta. The proteins are pretty expensive, especially to keep under that price amount. Right now I'm at $6.36 just for 3 Italian sausage links. So I've got a lot of other stuff to buy to make sure this tastes good, so hopefully I can do it. Pasta coming in at $1.99, huge save. We're going with linguine. They also had fettuccine, spaghetti, or angel hair, but I love linguine. It's one of my favorite pastas. So, all right, a couple more things. Right now I'm struggling a little bit. I wanted to put tomatoes in there, like a tomato base to the pasta. I think that would go really well with the sausage, obviously. And I want San Marzano, but they're just too expensive. They're $5.29. Even the organics, they're $2.39, or the non-organic whole peeleds, which are $1.99. Now, they're not as sweet as San Marzano. Maybe we can compensate by adding a few other things in there, maybe caramelizing some onions a little bit more to bring out some natural sugars. I didn't think it'd be this hard, but it is definitely hard. While I'm here, I know I need garlic, so I don't know exactly how much this is going to be, but 1 bulb should hopefully go a long way. So I thought maybe, hey, I'd come over here and I'd check out the fresh tomatoes. I can still only get 4 Roma tomatoes for $2. Now, the can of 28 ounces is $2, so you're adding another 12 ounces, which gives me more. So the can might be the deal, but let me check out a couple more things. Just picked up some broccolini. It's $3.99 each. I think that's plenty of veg in here. We can use the stems as well to help extend it a little bit. Right now, I'm almost at 15 bucks. I mean, I don't have that much more to spend, and I do need some more stuff. So this is crazy hard. I would never think it would be this difficult, but it is. Just tells you how expensive food is right now. Definitely want some Parmesan cheese, and gosh, it's just crazy. I mean, it is $4.18, but this will go a long way. After I shred it, you're going to get probably almost a cup of cheese, which will be good for garnish and good to fit right in to our red tomato sauce. I definitely want to add some fresh basil to the mix. It's really going to make the sauce that much better, and it's coming in at $2.99. So right now I'm around 21.5, and it's crazy. I don't even have that much, but it's just what it is, and I'd love to add more. I mean, even that wine would greatly enhance. Even though it's cheap wine, you can still cook that down and enhance the flavors of this. So all these decisions of even with the tomatoes and going down in quality, but trying to figure out where we can replace them with techniques. I've got a little bit of money left, maybe like $2 I can spend plus tax to get it under that mark. Gosh, this is tough. Total score on the demi baguette only being $2, but now I think I'm over. I think I'm over by about 75 cents with tax. Right now I'm around $24. I need 75 cents more for tax to get under that $25 mark. So I don't know. I might have to just swap out the Parmesan cheese for a little bit smaller piece, or it stinks, but maybe I have to get some pre-grated. Maybe it'll be cheaper. Let's see what we can do. So I found Parmesan for $1 cheaper. I'm hoping this will save me. Let's go check out and see what I got. Unloading everything onto the belt, my brain is going in 10 million different directions. I have no clue what it's going to be. And $23.21? Seriously, I came in under budget by $1.79. Math, definitely not my strong suit. I could have gotten the bigger piece of Parmesan cheese. That's all right. I'm sure as I do more of these, I'll get closer and closer to that exact budget mark that you won't even think twice about it. Another thing I did want to share, though, is in the restaurant industry, oftentimes you have a tryout on the first day or the day before. The chef gives you something called a market basket, which is a basket full of different food items, and then they ask you to make something. Hopefully it's good, and then you get the job. This is a little bit different, but it's more around budget and still having to pick a bunch of different ingredients to try to make something really delicious. So let's go see what we've got. I'm thinking this is going to be a pretty easy recipe to prepare. After all, there are only few ingredients here, but we need to start off with that mise en place, that prep to make sure that cooking is super smooth. We're going to do that starting off with garlic. So what we're going to do is just smash the garlic from the bottom. What that does is just release all of the cloves. Once they are released from the bulb, we're just going to cut off the ends. Then we're just going to peel it real quick. We're going to continue to peel the shells off about 5 garlic cloves, and then once they are peeled, I want to thinly slice them. I want big, bold garlic flavors here. Now we definitely want this to be really, really garlicky. Again, we're trying to pull as much flavor as possible from few ingredients used. So if you want a little bit more garlic because you love it, add another clove or 2 in there. If you don't, take back another clove. But while we're at it, remember I said garlic bread, we're going to finely mince up a few cloves as well. The easiest way to do this is to slice off that root end and then give it a quick smash to sort of release it from that outside shell. And can you believe it? I'm going to finely mince garlic. I'm not going to run it through a garlic press. I'm going to mince a total of 3 garlic cloves. This is specifically for the garlic bread. Now, I'm also going to prep up a small yellow onion. You could use a white. You could also use a sweet onion here. After you remove the ends and the outside peel, we are going to small dice them and set them to the side in a bowl. And now for the Parmesan. I only have a little bit less than 2 ounces, and I need to stretch this as far as possible. So I need as many shreds as possible, and the best way to do that is on the fine grate side of the grater. We're going to get about a cup or so from this, believe it or not. I need it for the sauce. I need it for garnish, and if I have enough extra, hopefully I do, I'm going to put it on the garlic bread at the end. You know, I always like to do it on parchment paper. It's really easy to transport at that point. You always have to be careful when using a grater. These are the things I, for some reason, cut myself on. And believe it or not, I think we have 2 total cups of cheese. This is great. Set it to the side. Now for the broccolini. It's also sometimes called baby broccoli, even though it's not a younger version of broccoli. It's got longer, thinner, sweeter stems, and the florets are much thinner than regular broccoli. So what we want to do is trim off the florets and go down all the way until there's about 2 inches of the stems left. We'll discard those, but use everything else. And in addition to the stems, there's a lot of flavor in these leaves too, so be sure to use these up as well. I'm just going to put the broccolini to the side in a bowl, and now I'm going to grab the onions and the sliced garlic cloves. I've got a medium-sized pot. We're going to add in about 2 tablespoons of olive oil, a little fat for flavor. Turn the heat down to low. We're going to add in the onions. What we're looking to do here is get a little caramelization on there. We're going to let it cook for in between 15 and 20 minutes. The onions are looking really good. They're still soft. They got that nice little brown on them. At this point, I'm just going to add in these garlic cloves. We're just going to cook them for maybe 2 to 3 minutes. We're on really, really low heat. Usually I always say when you can smell garlic, it's done cooking. That applies here as well, but the cloves are bigger because they're thickly sliced as opposed to finely minced. I've got a little gap in time here, so what I'm going to do is prep up our tomatoes. I'm going to take that 28-ounce can and add it right to a blender. You could also use a food mill here if you wanted to, if that's easiest for you. Just going to give it a few pulses on high speed. Make sure it's really smooth, and the seeds should be ground up as well. Let's go have a look. You see the garlic is starting to toast up a little bit. I think this is great timing. So what I'm going to do is just add in all the tomato sauce that I pureed up. And then also what I like to do is just add a little bit of water to the blender, get all the rest of the tomato goodness out of there. Hey, we're going to stretch it as far as we can here. We're going to slightly turn the heat up to low medium and let it simmer for about 15 to 20 minutes to get a lot of flavor out of this. While the sauce is on, we can completely prep up the garlic bread, so when it comes time to cook it, all we have to do is put it in the oven. And also, let's get a pot of water on and get it ready for our pasta. I'm going to add in 1 stick of unsalted softened butter, the finely minced garlic, and 1 tablespoon of finely minced parsley. I always have parsley laying around. Season it up with salt and fresh cracked black pepper. And then what I'm going to do is grab a whisk and mix everything, or at least I'm going to try to mix everything together. Well, the whisk worked terribly, so we are going to switch over to a spatula, try to get this mixed up. That's working way better. Now at this point, I'm going to slice that baguette right down the center long ways and evenly spread on that garlic butter between both slices. I'm going to set it to the side on a sheet tray lined with parchment paper so it's good to go in the oven. Everything is completely prepped up at this point. There's nothing else we need to do. It's go time, and I have a feeling it's going to move pretty quickly. The first thing we want to do is just finish up that sauce. Season it up with salt and pepper, taste it, make sure it's delicious, push it to the side. Now for the sausage. There are a couple different ways that we can cook this. We can remove the casing and cook it in the pan. For me though, I always think it tends to dry out that way. So I think I'm gonna leave it whole and we're gonna pan sear it. That's gonna keep it nice and juicy, and then when it's done, we'll slice it in the end and we'll fold it into the pasta. I want to use a rondo pot for this because it's going to hold a lot of pasta. You could use a large frying pan too. I'm going to add in 2 tablespoons of olive oil. We're going to add in the sausage once it starts to smoke. It's going to take in between 4 and 5 minutes per side to get a nice blister, a nice sear on each side until it is completely finished cooking. These look absolutely perfect at this point. A lot of stuff going on right now. You hear the sausage in the background. It's probably got like 4 or 5 minutes left in the cooking process, which means we need to get started on everything else. The pasta, the garlic bread, and the broccolini. Pay close attention. It's going to move light and fast. Make sure your water is at a boil. Season it well with salt so that it tastes like the ocean. Add in the linguine. I'm going to use some tongs and immediately start to move things around for a minute or two. This is going to take a total of 7 to 9 minutes for it to cook. We want it al dente or to the tooth. Now at this point, I'm also just going to add in the garlic bread at 350 degrees Fahrenheit for in between 8 and 10 minutes. The sausages are done. They're nice and juicy. We're just going to set them to the side. This is where I wish I had a little bit extra budget for that wine because I would totally deglaze this pan with that goodness. Now what we're going to do is add in the broccolini. I want to saute this broccolini for about 4 or 5 minutes just on low heat. We want to make sure it's still got a nice little crunch to it. We also want to make sure that the color stays in place. Nearing the finish line here, the pasta is done, the broccolini is done, the garlic bread is done. We're going to quickly slice up that sausage that we set to the side, and then for the garlic bread, we're just going to add in a little bit of Parmesan cheese, save most of it for the pasta, put it under the broiler for just 2 minutes. Then we're going to take the pasta out and start mixing everything together. Pull that garlic bread out. It looks fantastic. We're going to set it to the side briefly. I'm going over to my pasta. It is definitely done. Al dente is perfect. It's got a nice little crunch to it. What I'm going to do is just give it a quick little strain, a little shaky there. We're going to add it right to the pan with the broccolini. Next, we're going to pour on that tomato sauce and then, of course, hit it with the sausage. The last few things we're going to do is add in the Parmesan cheese, and there is literally like 3/4 cup here. And then about a tablespoon to 2 tablespoons of finely minced fresh basil. Remember, we had that when you do adjust the seasonings with salt and pepper if you need it. But let's mix everything together first, have a taste, and see where we're at. There is definitely enough pasta here to feed 4 people. In fact, some family members may even get seconds. But it still goes back to these fundamental classic cooking techniques, putting them into practice over and over again so that it will elevate your everyday cooking. I had a limited ingredient list, but I knew how to pull out as much flavor as possible. This pasta is absolutely delicious. Let me show you how to plate it up. To make sure pasta looks beautiful, elegant, restaurant worthy, we've got a big amount here wrapped around some tongs. Once it hits the plate, begin to twist it to form a beautiful nest just like this. We want to garnish with about a tablespoon more of shredded Parmesan cheese and a teaspoon of fresh chopped basil. Also, definitely do not forget to slice up our delicious garlic bread. And of course, one of the most important parts of this dish is I need to know if the family likes it too. They absolutely tore it up. Full bellies, happy smiles. This one is definitely family approved. I am 100% positive the local Italian restaurant would charge $25 per person for this. I just fed 4 of you for $23.21. Better tell your mama. And if you want to learn how to make homemade pasta from scratch, I have an amazing recipe video for you. I'll see you on there.